Okay, so we're going to solve a couple of quadratics by completing the square. In order to get good at this, in order to be able to do this, you need to be fairly quick at the following types of problems. So I'm going to write some of these down and so on. So if I tell you to multiply out x plus 5 squared, do you guys have to write it both out and draw the little loopy things, or can you do this fairly quickly? So let's talk about it. What, everybody say it out loud. We should be able to say it together. What do you get when you do this?
X squared plus 10x plus.
Good job. X squared plus 10x plus 25. Good. So this one gives me x squared, then what? Minus 14x plus 49. Good. This one is x squared plus 8x plus 16. Exactly. I had a student several years ago say, oh, square double square. Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. You square the first term, you multiply them together, which you might not think of it as multiplying it together because a lot of people think of it as just doubling the 5, but truly you're doubling 5x. If this was 2x plus 5, you would double 10x and get 20x. Okay? Then plus 25. So you square it, you double it, you square it. So if I gave you x squared plus 6x, what number would go there? Like if it came from something like this, what number would have to be here? 9. How'd you know that? Because 3 times, yeah, 3 plus 3 is 6, so this had to come from x plus 3. Once you know that number, you can get that number, and then you can get that number. And that's the key to being able to complete the square. If you would get good at completing the square, you could use it really just as fast as a quadratic formula, because it's about the same thing, almost. Or it comes from the same thing. So what we're trying to do is to get all problems to look like this. X plus something squared equals some number, so we can just square root both sides. Okay? So let me show you how to do one. So let's say you have x squared minus 2x minus 6 equals 0. Okay? To complete the square, you're going to move this number out of the way. So you just have your x's. So x squared minus 2x, leave a blank spot, and then equals 6. Then you got to figure out what number would go here if it was like these things that we were doing. Well, it would have to be a plus 1, because this would have to have come from x minus 1 squared. Do you guys see that? If this x squared minus 2x plus some number was the answer to something squared, it would have to be x minus squared, because half of negative 2 is negative 1. And then 1 times 1 is 1, so I put a plus 1 there. Well, if I put a plus 1 on this side, don't I have to put a plus 1 on this side, because that's the way life is in math? Whatever you do to one side, you got to do the other. So then this would have to equal 7. And so now I can square root both sides. So I have x minus 1 equals plus and minus radical 7. And then you add 1 to both sides, so x equals 1 plus and minus radical 7.